Well, we'll get it officially started. Welcome back to the Cantina for another edition of Cantina Live. We're here. I've got all kinds of fun planned for the night. Joining us here in the Cantina is we've got Eddie. He's kind of in the quiet in the Zoom, but he'll be hitting the chat. And I'm sure he's chiming in when he can. Ed B's hanging out with us. Bill Espy's with us, and I'm here. I've got two special guests with me tonight here in Cantina Live. This is their first time appearances and maybe their last time. We'll see how this goes. This is Joshua over here on this side. He's 14 and he's a geek like the rest of us. Oh, sorry, was I supposed to tell him that? And Elijah, he's a 10-year-old that loves stuff. So to kind of introduce these guys to everybody, we'll kind of start with Elijah over here. What is your favorite Star Wars collectible you have? So well, you got to look it up. You want to make sure you get the name right. I'm sorry.
My Lego Star Wars Headhunter ship.
Headhunter ship. So what is that? Like, what's you got a picture for us? Oh, let's see. I don't know if we can show it here. Let's see. I don't know the glare. Lego Star Wars Headhunter. We'll look it up. Let's see. We'll find the modern technology we have here. Lego Starfighter. Is it Starfighter?
Lego Starfighter Headhunter.
All right, let's see what we got here. So you guys can see what he's talking. Oh yeah, there it is. See what he's talking about. This one right here. It works. Sorry, take me a moment here just to pull it up so we can get a nice clear view of it. So boom, boom, boom. There we are. Then I'll share it for the fans at home. You guys probably could already looked it up by now. But there he is. That's his favorite collectible. So he's big into the Lego stuff right now. I think his oldest brother may have got this a while back and never put it together. But he's all in and putting stuff together and playing with them. But he's been collecting the minifigs. Of course, he likes the four-armed. What? Pancreas. Okay, whatever. You guys know that guy stuff.
That's Dexter Jetser.
That's right, man. He runs his own diner. Want some Java juice? So, and Caminos. Saber hearts.
Very you Jedi would know the difference between knowledge and wisdom.
Yeah, that little pause. It's like somebody goosed him in between. It's like, okay. All right. So over here on my left, as I already introduced, is Joshua, and he's hanging out with us tonight. So he's also a collector. He collects in a different vein than I do. So what is it, Joshua's your main or your favorite collectible that you've got?
Like in general?
In general. We don't want a dissertation here, but
lightsabers.
Okay. Well, let's get a little more specific then. Okay, yes. So which lightsaber in particular?
Probably Anakin Skywalker.
Okay, Anakin Skywalker, the one you recently got for Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so he's big into the Legacy and the Black Series Force Elite lightsabers. He's got a nice collection in his room and all that stuff. So he's big into that. These guys that you see here, they're into everything. So, and everything's their favorite. So, but Star Wars always calls to their hearts. So, let's see. We got some folks. Yeah, we got a couple folks over on Facebook. So welcome over there. So, without any further ado, we're going to get to business because we've got a lot to do tonight. We're going to start with some product reveals that have come out in the last 2 weeks because it's been a couple weeks since we've left. And for these rookies here, we just kind of talk about if this is something we'd like to have or not, or we think it's silly or dumb, or why in the world are they doing it? So, like for Bill, he just showed us he just got the retro set. Got one to open, one to keep sealed. Now, how many figures are in that set, Bill, that you just got?
There's six.
Six, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. And I wonder did the cards all stay the same from that first release, or do you know?
Yeah, the Chewbacca one is.
Okay. Yeah, that's
it's. They're just. There's Luke.
Yeah, those are so cool. And Vader. Yeah, I was kind of hoping. I guess there's a couple of. There's Leia. There she is. That's a cool one. I know some people are mixed on those because of how real they look like the originals because of the weapons. Because you've got those that are pretty staunch against repro stuff. So yeah, I understand that. Just keep them sealed. You're good. What's that, buddy?
The price
The price?
goes down.
That's right. The price goes down. You're right. Hey, this guy, he knows what he's talking about over
He
here.
does.
You win the C3PO award tonight, right? No, that's nothing. We just made that up. We're trying to get it patented, but it's not coming through, so we're working on it. So let's talk about products. And you guys correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like it's been a while. Yeah, you can have one, buddy. So I've got some Tootsie Roll Pops over here. He's one to anybody else want one? Sorry, guys, y'all can't have any. Joshua, care for one. So they're passing them out. Let's see here. A couple of reveals. Man, I can't even figure out what I'm doing here. Here we go. We're right on the screen now. All right. So what do you guys think about this one? It's the Obi-Wan Kenobi Vintage Collection 3-pack.
Wow.
I'm not real sure about the Jawa. I mean, yeah, maybe that. What is it? Tika? Is that the Jawa's name from? Yeah, that's what it says there. But that Purge Trooper, the Phase 2 armor, those are really cool. I wish they would sell it separate. Maybe they will. That would be a neat one to add. And of course, you've got the good set. You think, huh? All right. Sure. And it's already gone for pre-order. Any of you guys pre-order that one?
I did not.
Didn't. But you're not a big pre-order guy, though, are you, Bill?
I am not.
No. I know Eddie he's a guy that likes to find them in the store. What about you, Ed B? Did you pre-order that, or are you a pre-order guy?
Hardly ever.
Yeah. So, sometimes if there's something I really want, I'll pre-order it. I'll probably wait on this because I really kind of check out Dorkside and Big Bad a lot, and they usually get this stuff. So I'll probably wait on that as well. Those are over on Facebook. Feel free to chime in your insight on these things too. You're welcome to join us on Zoom, but you're welcome to hang out on Facebook. We're going to have a lot of stuff ahead of us. Let's see what else we've seen over the last couple weeks. Okay, this guy, Ned B, the Black Series. I really like this droid. He's really cool. He kind of stole a piece of my heart, but now we know he's no more. Kind of went the way of K2SO. But, I've kind of dipped out personally on the Black Series. I know we've talked a little bit about that, but this is a cool figure. So, what about you guys? You'll be after this guy and add to your collection probably? No, Bill's shaking his head. Nah. No.
He wasn't that color in the series. He's too yellow to me.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. He's got his hammer there.
And to me, that I'm thinking you take the hammer away, it looks like Bumblebee, and I like that. But
Autobots roll out. He's just playing the radio over here. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I like that. It's a good picture. Good thoughts coming your way. What about you two? I mean, I know you guys aren't Black Series guys, but
No.
you don't like it? No. There's a consensus from the Butler house. I think we're splitting on this one. So, all right.
Pretty good though.
Okay. Well, let's see something else. Or we're out on it. Cool figure. And I'll just have to say, I kind of got some vibes. I know we're jumping in the story a little bit that Talia and Ned B just had a special relationship. Not maybe quite, I got boys right here, but not quite I should say Lionel Richie. Lionel Richie.
Lionel.
Not quite
Hello.
Lionel Richie. Not
Is
quite
it me
Lando
you're looking
in L3, but there's something special between Talia and Ned B. So, all right. No, speaking of Talia, this is a cool Black Series figure, I think. Again, I'm out on the Black Series, but I liked her character. I think that's a cool look. Maybe if I end up having an Obi-Wan and you guys may know, I kind of up and down with the things I collect and stuff like that. If I had an Obi-Wan shelf, she might show up on it, but not in that state. So, any other thoughts on this one? It looks like obviously that's a concept prototype deal because it's a rendering. Because this stuff's I can't remember what the date was. What 2027 when the stuff's coming out? It's probably right. It's just a joke, man. I was being sarcastic. All right, what about this guy? A lot of people thought he was Forlom, Zuckus, wherever you come down on that, but we see he's one Jack. One JAC. It cool again, Black Series, but a cool figure. I'd like to see him in vintage collection.
Yeah,
Really, just
forget it. Sorry.
That's fine, guys. That's no worries here, dude. You think it's okay? It's got the Elijah. It's okay. It's whatever. It's not Lego. So he's all in on the Lego stuff. So
That would not look good.
Now this guy, I'll get him, even though I'm not a Black Series guy. Yeah, anytime you got a cool trooper, you got to purchase it.
Absolutely. Yeah, he's a yes.
Yeah, he's a definite yes, and maybe 2 or 3. So he is really cool. I have a feeling he'll be the short pack, which I haven't seen what the breakdown on these are. And I know Entertainment Earth is pretty good about helping us kind of see that. Maybe we'll take a peek at that here in a minute and see how they're up. Now, I don't remember if we talked about this or not last time. I know we didn't have quite as many people hanging out with us last time. It was kind of hit and miss. But this is obviously from the Kenobi line, which I was telling Eddie a little bit earlier. Some people are posting already starting to find these, which these aren't supposed to come out till, I think, maybe around Christmas or later. But they're already starting to find them. This is I'm a vintage collection guy. This would be, what has he got in there? Are those different hands?
Yeah.
Looks like it.
Yeah, those are different hands. And he's got his hilt.
It's normal.
But what do you think about this?
Oh, yeah.
The Dark Times. Darth Vader, the Dark Times. Okay, guys, we need to come up with Darth Vader, the Light Times.
Yeah.
I can see it's going to be a YouTube series. Darth Vader, the Light Times. That'll be our next Cantina feature. Darth Vader, the Light Times. You guys think you can come up with that for me? Or is it in pre-production right now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We're already started.
You've already started. Okay, nice. Oh, it's good to have good help around here. I'll definitely pick up for me this as well as the other. I mean, I like that whole line. Again, we'll get into that stuff. So, what's that?
Why does he have a gun?
He doesn't have a gun. That's a lightsaber.
Oh,
You know what a lightsaber is? Why are you even in this room?
I have that one in my room.
I know, but that looks like a gun from far.
It's not a gun. Geez, kid. I can't take these kids. Okay, we're back to the beginning. Well, then there's one thing I think we need to check up on, ladies and gentlemen. It's time to check up on your HasLab. Ladies and gentlemen, this HasLab update is brought to you in part by Hasbro Pulse. And guess what? Man, they're still falling short.
It's way too expensive.
I mean, that's just $500 for the third sister, Reva's Force X Elite, FX Elite. They're needing what? Over 3,000 more backers, 3,700 backers to get it. It's only got 2 weeks left. What do you think? Think it'll be another Rancor? Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think they're getting 2.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not looking good there for that.
It's not popular enough.
So, that being said, I agree. She's too new. She's not popular enough. I mean, we talk about her role as we move forward, talking through the series. But before we jump to that, what would you want to see? What do you think they could put out that it's a no-brainer? That'll be back, in no time, much like the Razor Crest, much like as I'm not mistaken, the Sail Barge, it may took a little time because it was a new concept. It was the first HasLab project. But Razor Crest, I mean, it was gone in no time as far as they got their backing. What is something you'd like to see you think would be a no-brainer as far as the Star Wars? Black Series, Vintage Collection, whatever. Anything you'd like to go ahead.
I think the thing I loved the most when I was a kid was the Dagobah play set with you could do things with it, drop R2-D2 down the hole and raise things and stuff like that. I was at a family reunion with my cousin who was born a year or a month ahead of me back in 1972. We're both about to turn 50. And when I see him at these family reunions, we still talk about playing with the Star Wars when we were 8.
Oh, that's awesome.
So these kids have that to look forward to.
Yes. Yeah. And I think you're right on to something there, Ed. I mean, just the vintage collection. So that 3 3/4 set, which is the money. I mean, that's classic. That's what Star Wars was built on. But then to have some type of just unique play set, whether it be the Dagobah system, whether it be Ewok Village. I know some people have been saying that. Whether it's, a certain ship, whether it's a Death Star place. I mean, there are all kind of different things that could be out there. But I think vintage collection is where to go because they've got more people invested in that. It's easier to display. I mean, Black Series, the scales, I mean, they're nice, but they're just too big.
Yeah.
I mean, that Rancor was going to be huge. Now, I think it would have made if they had released it and had a timeline during the Book of Boba Fett. They kind of missed the mark on that. But and I know we've talked about that before. But yeah, I definitely think 3 3/4 would be the way to go with that. So
Sandcrawler.
Oh, you nailed it. That is the one that would be a for sure.
Oh man, I'm telling you.
The sand crawler from Mandalorian season 1. Or even just A New Hope. Either any sand crawler would work. So, but I'd love the one from Mandalorian season 1 where you can just have, Mandalorian trying to climb and you got these Jawas coming out. This is like super Star Wars from Nintendo. So, all right. These guys are laughing at me because how old I am talking about Nintendo references. So, all right. So let's dive in a little bit here. Let's see what page am I on? Okay, yeah, I get too many windows going here. Let me close this one so I don't get any more confusion. All right, there we go. So let's talk about Obi-Wan. We left off with part. So we talked 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're ready to talk 5 and 6.
Okay. I haven't seen 5 and 6, so I'm about to get off.
Oh God! It's like, Bill, how have you lived in the world without seeing these and not being spoiled? Gosh. Oh, I'll tell you. I watched 5 like I normally did, but 6, which was last week, we were on vacation, and it was killing me. I was like, I've got to see it. I wanted to be spoiled, so I wasn't staying off social media. And granted, that morning, Caleb, my oldest, and I, we went scuba diving, so that kind of preoccupied me for a little while. But as soon as we got back to the condo and got over the moving like this from the boat and everything in my head, I laid down because I was tuckered after diving, and then had the iPad. There I was, had my date with Obi-Wan, and it did not disappoint. So I know it'll be hard not to jump to the finale, but let's try to pace ourselves, work through 5, work through 6. Obviously, the 6 puts everything in perspective. I guess first thing first, do you think the series, and we'll unpack it, do you think the series lived up to the hype? Do you think it was a great addition to the Star Wars canon, or do you think they missed the mark? What do you guys think? Overall impressions of the series, I guess, is the best way to ask that. We'll ask this little guy first, since he's got a sucker in his mouth, and he looks like he knows a lot of things. What do you think? Were you impressed by Obi-Wan, or did you not like it? Be honest. This is a safe place. There's no ridicule here. We're not like some other Star Wars fans that will eat you alive.
Okay.
It was an okay. Now let's get perspective. What is your favorite Star Wars movie? Your favorite, and to be truthful,
Skywalker's.
which
Episode
one?
9.
Episode 9. So Rise of Skywalker is your favorite.
Mm-hmm.
He has now been discounted from any discussion tonight. No, there's some good stuff in that movie. I agree. Now he is a sequel kid. Okay, he fell in love with it with Force Awakens. I mean, he's only 10, so you have to keep that in mind. Okay, now, so you think it was okay? All right. So we'll go over to the other younger statesman here. First off, we need what's your favorite Star Wars movie to help us understand where you're coming from?
Revenge of the Sith.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
And he's more of a prequel kid, him and his brother. So, all right. So what do you think of the Obi-Wan series?
It was great.
It was great. Okay, it was great. That's
Best series yet.
the best series yet. So you're saying it's better than
Mando.
Book of Boba Fett, better
No,
than
no.
Mando.
No, there's no way.
Season 2. You're saying no.
There's no
Yes.
way it's better than Mandalorian.
Okay. All right. Which Mando season's your favorite? 1 or 2?
2.
2. Okay.
I didn't watch.
All right. You didn't watch 2?
Get out.
He's out.
Okay, both of those guys are out.
Jeez, I'm so sorry. I really thought I was going to bring something to the program tonight. This guy's a Rise of Skywalker fan. Nothing wrong with that. He's weird. This guy hasn't even watched season 2 of The Mandalorian. Jeez. So the last thing you saw is Luke and Baby Grogu.
I did want to see.
Oh
I
no,
just
you
don't
can't
remember.
backtrack.
I
It's
watched
over.
most of it.
All right, Bill. What'd you think, man? What'd you think about the Obi-Wan series?
Well, let me first say, Clay's 20,
Okay.
and he's a prequel guy. Revenge of the Sith is probably his favorite as well. And we watched. We saw. He never got into Boba Fett. He just didn't. He liked Mandalorian, but this was his favorite series. We really, as we talked about, and I don't want to give away this because it's in episode 6, but his favorite Star Wars scene of all Star Wars scenes is in episode 6. I was excited, thinking, hey, it's going to be about Luke, and then it's about Leia. I loved that twist.
Yeah.
And yeah, I thought it was great.
All right. What about Ed? Ed B? What do you think of the Obi-Wan series? I think it's got you muted again, buddy.
Okay, I lost my screen.
Oh, no, there you are.
I thought the little 10-year-old, 11-year-old actress was really good for her age. She came off as Princess Leia, but she wasn't like adult smart or anything. She was still a kid at the same time. She did really, really well. Ewan McGregor is doing the mix of the old Ben and the new Ben and everything is always great. So that's enough for a show for me. I don't need anything more than that.
Yeah, I hear you. That's good. I mean,
It didn't have to be the newest, greatest special effects on a TV show.
Yeah. That's the amazing things, with special effects they can do for a TV show. Because if I'm not mistaken, they use the volume for this as well. I know Andor, they're doing more practical effects and stuff is what I've heard, and which we'll talk a little bit about that when we wrap up tonight. So, all right, what about Eddie up there in the corner? You're in the black, but we know you're with us. What did you think, man? You can type it or you can say it. What did you think of the Obi-Wan series overall impression?
Overall, it was okay. It had, its moments.
Okay.
Like in this one where the flashback, I think, to episode 2.
Yeah.
My favorite one for the longest time was Jedi.
Right.
Until Sith came out.
Okay. Yeah.
So, going back to the prequel era was pretty good.
Okay. Yeah. Definitely that throwback was good. So, and that's a good place to start. And I don't know who got it on Facebook. They'll feel free to chime in if they like. So, as Eddie helped us remember kind of that throwback to like the Attack of the Clones era there in part 5 or episode 5, however you want to look at that. It opens up with Obi-Wan and Anakin dueling, kind of a training exercise and everything, which is so cool. I was hoping we get a lot more of that throughout the series, but we got some of it and it was good. And then that's just kind of what hangs over the whole episode. That's kind of the background. That's kind of, the life lessons that were taught through that duel is reflected in what's playing out in their character now. Now, I will say this, and this is kind of a little bit of a critique, kind of what Ed had said, we've got all the special effects and stuff, and, it's in a TV show. But I really kind of wish they had done a little more de-aging on Anakin, because he looked like a 50-year-old, 40-year-old guy trying to play a teenager in that. Yeah. And his voice was spot on, that, kind of the right inflections and everything. It wasn't Attack of the Clones. But other than that, it was awesome. That was just my one little gripe, I guess, about that episode. I was like, man, he sure does look old, man. There must be something in the light there. Of course, I don't know what's going on. But yeah, so you have that battle. That's kind of the background, and then how the events kind of play out. So, and really, for me, and you guys feel free to help me out with this. I feel like that's kind of the guide for the interaction with Obi-Wan's strategy against Vader in this, but then also, as we see at the end, Vader's strategy against Reva in this. So you see that actually you think, well, Vader's still learning, he's still the Padawan, but in all reality, he's kind of played Reva the whole time, just like Obi-Wan's kind of outsmarted Vader. So that was interesting. That was a nice little twist. So we get them. They're in Jabim. They're hanging out there. Now, you guys help me. Is this all a bunch of Force-sensitive people waiting to go somewhere? Are all these people Force-sensitive, or are they just insurgents? I mean, we know that Roken, his wife, was Force-sensitive. We know that Raja was posing as a Jedi. And, that one family that he helped escape, they're there. They had the little boy that was Force-sensitive. So are all these refugees or these insurgents, as we later hear them call, are all of them Force-sensitive, or did you guys have a different impression? And feel free to anybody to to chime in there, or what?
I never noticed that.
You never
Till now.
noticed that? Okay. All right.
I didn't pick up on that either.
Okay. So, I was just wondering because, that's why Raja was helping them escape. And it was, the whole path, as they were on that mining planet, the whole secret getaway house, kind of the underground railroad, so to speak, to help people get. And it talked about, Quinlan Voss, which we didn't see him in the series. We heard his name mentioned. Maybe he'll be in season 2 if there is one. We can talk about that in a little bit. But if there's that many Force sensitive people that are on the run, what does that really say about the future of the Jedi? We get to A New Hope. We first see it, we think Obi-Wan's it. Oh, wait, Yoda's it. Now Luke's the last and all this stuff. And of course, sequel changes all that. But and everything's kind of expanded even more from that when you have Ezra and you have Ahsoka and all those things. But kind of interesting. So what else? I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on 5 unless there's stuff you guys want to grab, because I know most of 6 is where we're drawn to, because it was something special. What about the encounter with Obi-Wan and Reva, where he's basically confronts her and she kind of spills the beans about why she's doing what she's doing. So, any thoughts there you guys may have? It's kind of interesting there, a little talk beside the wall there. What y'all think about that? Her flashbacks to Order 66.
I guess my thought was, and Clay had read something somewhere, and he was telling me this, that they're talking about, will they do a spin-off series for her? And, I don't know, she's a new character and everything, but I liked what happened in episode 6 with her. Up until that point, I felt like she was being forced, on us. But I like the arc of her story being one of the younglings, and I thought that was kind of cool. But
yeah, definitely the way 6 leaves it. I mean, there's room for a spinoff, and I'd heard that too. And it, Facebook or social media, you see new series. Blah, blah, blah. You don't know how much of that's true or not.
Yeah,
it's definitely left in a place where they can take her character and run. I'm kind of like you, Bill. I didn't have a lot invested in her. She's kind of over here on the side. I knew she would become more and more kind of the backstory or a side story that was going on. But there are some neat things with her story that are interesting to talk about. Like you said, when her being one of the younglings and all that. And was it Obi-Wan said to her, you're actually hunting him?
Yeah.
And then when he surrenders himself, gave yourself up. And he goes, no, I did this to bring him to you.
Yeah.
So they're kind of serving the same purpose there. Ed, you look like you got a deep thought, man. What's rattling around, man?
I'm waiting until we get to the fight part, because when she went after Vader with the spinning blade thing, I expected him to start laughing because I was laughing.
Yeah, I mean, that's perfect. I mean, we could go straight to that because, he shows up. Of course, he goes after the ship that's going away. Oh, and wow.
Oh, yeah.
For him to pull that down.
The Force Unleashed.
Yeah, it goes back.
Moment there.
And then he just rips the side of it off like it's nobody's business. And just sitting there, just kind of, and it plays out one of those flashbacks to Attack of the Clones with them training. And, you think, okay, Obi-Wan outsmarted him. And then, boom, there's Reva behind him. And he just, coolest lightsaber fight. And he doesn't even use a lightsaber for half of it. So, but yeah, kind of go to where you were, Ed, with that, she does get to that point where she's spinning it. And you're like, uh-oh. And he's just like, come on, really? He just, let's slow this down here a minute. So,
it was cool to see his power
yeah,
and his arrogance. You think, okay, he's got the whole empire behind him, but to say, I'm going by myself.
Mm-hmm.
I thought, okay, that's cool. But then it shows his youth and his arrogance. And I really like those elements that you saw in what you always wanted to see out of, hey, was Vader this way when he was,
yeah.
Was it the Rogue One violent hatred that, was in the hallway?
Yeah. So this is actually, as you bring that up, so this would be I guess, nine years before Rogue One.
Yeah.
So I mean, which dude, he was awesome there, and then we see how he is in New Hope. But like, because even before they land on Sabine, he and Reva have an interaction where he's like, no, let's go in after him, and she's like, if you do that, they can hunker down and they could, it'll be a stalemate and all this stuff. He's like, no, I don't want to break anybody else. I just want to break him.
Yeah.
So he's focused on him. And then when we get to the last episode, the new the new Grand Inquisitor, I guess, or the old new Grand Inquisitor, is like, hey, let's go after the insurgents. Let's wipe them out. And he's like, no. We're not worried about them. We're worried about Obi-Wan. So again, he's got his own personal agenda here. He's, like you said, his stubbornness. What do you knuckleheads think about that fight with Reva and Vader?
She had no chance.
She had no chance. This guy
There's
said.
no ch-
She got stabbed.
Yeah, she did. Okay, we're gonna come back to that. And I know you and I have talked about it, so
Yeah.
make sure you got those
Still
thoughts.
doesn't make sense.
What did you think about it?
Finally shows his true power.
The true power, Vader's true
I
power.
bet he didn't even try.
He didn't even try, huh? I think so. He's just playing with her. So okay, I think that's fair. Okay, so where you had something to say? You're out, man. Oh, okay. Sorry.
Oh, so
Nature
she
calls.
She got stabbed in Order 66, right?
Yeah.
By Anakin. She got
Okay,
hurt.
so you think she got stabbed by Anakin in Order
That's what
66?
you said.
Well, that's what I said, but I want to know why you think that. Just because your dad told you?
Wait, there would be no way she could escaped Anakin. No, maybe she got shot
She got shot? Okay.
because she would not escape Anakin.
Okay. All right.
But it's not possible.
Well, I think the thing that we were confused about or interesting about, maybe you guys too can kind of chime in, is she takes a pretty good hit to the abdomen there. Vader stabs her through, but then she's in the last part. Now she's hurt and she's making her way around. So eventually we see, we're kind of bleeding the next one. She ends up on Tatooine. She's looking out, trying to find Luke. But I think there's more to her wound than maybe we caught on the surface. And I'll say it this way, and this is where Elijah and I were talking about it earlier. Right as she's facing Vader, and she's having those flashbacks. Vader or Anakin's there. He's got his cloak over his head, and he lunges at her, and at that same time, it cuts to Vader lunging at her and stabs her through. So I guess the question is, did he run her through then and now?
So she could get metal there.
So, maybe, she, I know this sounds weird. Maybe, she's already been recovered from a saber wound. So he just went to the same spot. I mean, that sounds crazy. But the reason I say that, and this is something that I caught early on, and you guys may have this too, in episode 3 of this series, this is after Obi-Wan's got away from the crazy whatever planet with Leia, and she notifies Vader that, hey, we're tracking him. She shows up to the Inquisitor base, and remember she has an interaction with the fifth brother, and he's like all mad, and he makes her kind of fall down on the table, and and he says that Grand Inquisitor seat's mine. At that point, she says something about Vader, and then she grabs her abdomen, kind of just and the camera even follows her hand, and that's in episode 3. So then we get to this episode 5. Maybe overplaying it here. She has this flashback. He's stabbing at her, and then obviously he runs her through in the abdomen. So did he originally stab her and then stab her again, and then of course she survives both of these?
Doesn't make sense. Right?
Doesn't make sense? Huh?
Well,
am I way out in left field here, kid? What do you think?
How would she got stabbed? How did she not die? Everyone else dies.
Well, that's true. I mean, that's how Qui-Gon died, didn't it? He got stabbed through in the abdomen. So, and we know he didn't make it out alive. And granted, we hear a little bit about him later, but Bill, you missed my theory, man. You went and got a snack and missed my theory.
I heard you.
Okay. What do you think, Ed? I mean, am I crazy here? Did you guys catch that in episode 3 when she grabbed at her abdomen that time?
Yeah, I saw it.
You saw it, yeah, I know you did, because you watched it the 17 times that I watched it, trying to catch it. So I just thought it was interesting. Yeah,
I didn't pick up on that part, but maybe when I'm trying to figure it out, because the show doesn't really explain it, because everything's happening cut.
Yeah.
But maybe it goes back to all the Yoda stuff from Empire about fear, and he can sense fear in her and think, oh, I can turn her and use her down the road like he ended up doing. Maybe that's the thing. He's intentionally wounding her and not trying to kill her or something.
Right. Yeah. I definitely think there's some kind of intention there. Because why not? I mean, why not just finish her off? I mean, granted, there's a encounter there where she gets to see that the Grand Inquisitor's still alive. And if you go back and watch, I mean, they never say he's dead. It's always like they come short of saying that in conversations. And we knew he was going to be alive because we've all seen Rebels. So
yeah.
It's just like, they're not going to violate canon in that regard.
It was definitely scary. Weird.
It was weird. Yeah. I know that was one of the things that, when she stabbed Inquisitor earlier, you're like, what's going on here? Doesn't make any sense, right?
I did not know he had two stomachs.
Oh, okay. Somebody's been doing his homework over here. They got two stomachs.
Maybe the Inquisitors have some kind of special midsection because he got stabbed in the midsection, survived. She did survive. That's what Qui-Gon needed. He would have made it.
If he had been an Inquisitor, he would have had a better constitution.
I need an Inquisitor vest.
And an Inquisitor vest can deflect the hits to the gut. So, what was his line? He says, revenge, the Grand Inquisitor says, revenge does wonders for the will to live, don't you think?
Yeah.
For her. So, I mean, if indeed she did receive a wound as a youngling and her perseverance to this moment, obviously for him, the will to live, because he wants revenge on her. Vader, this is a big setup, so again, he kind of mastered the situation. So, really interesting. So,
yeah, I thought so too.
All right, let's do it. Let's jump into the finale. This is what we've all been waiting for. It did not disappoint on so many different levels. We see, opens up, obviously, Vader and them are in hot pursuit of the path. You've got bolts from the Star Destroyer just singeing the top of the ship. They're running out of time. They don't have their hyperdrive fixed. There's all kinds of things. And Obi-Wan's got to go a separate way. He knows he's going to have to face Vader and finish it. Makes that cry out to Qui-Gon, and he gets silence once again. But again, we have that part where Vader makes it clear that he's focused on Obi-Wan above and beyond anything else. Grand Inquisitor's like, hey, let's go after him. We can't prioritize one Jedi. And he's like, oh, no, this one we will. We're going after him. You see that big ship just kind of turn and go after the little ship. What do you think about that? Anything?
Not surprising, really.
Not surprising. Okay.
Vader wants to kill him, I bet.
Yeah, he wants to kill him. He does. He wants to go after him. Somebody left me for dead on Lava Planet. I might be a little upset too. So, just saying. Reva, we see Reva show up on Tatooine, and word gets out, and Owen and Beru kind of prepare for that. And there's a lot that can be said there in that, but I mean, I think our main focus is really the Obi-Wan versus Vader encounter. Oh, you've come back to join us. Obi-Wan versus Vader encounter. I'll leave it with you guys now. What are some of your thoughts? I know I've kind of talked a lot. What are some things that stood out to you? We'll go anywhere with it. So feel free. Those are on Facebook. Throw some things out there. We'll be glad to chime in or feed off of those. Anybody in this room? Anybody in the Zoom room? What are your thoughts about the Obi-Wan Vader match that we had play out before us? Not all at once, guys. It's okay.
Well, like I told you before, Clay said, why do they keep switching over to Reva looking for Luke?
Yeah.
Because that encounter with Obi-Wan and Vader, he said, that's my favorite scene in all of Star Wars.
That's a big deal, man. That's how I pray.
Yeah. In fact, we watched it 2 times in a row. It was that good. And there were the elements that, because I think I had shared with him, it was very frustrating to see Obi-Wan's lack of progression. He was so weak in the foot, and I thought, yeah, that's not the way the Force works. It finds us, it penetrates us. It's,
right.
You're thinking about what Yoda said, it just, how do you lose that, but then when you saw them fighting and you see that emotion in his face, it just, of course, the first time I watched, I'll be real transparent, I cried several times. I just teared up, and I just thought, holy cow. But the effects of him throwing the rocks at Vader, there were so many things that were great. I love the cutting of the mask, and then the way they did the voice.
Oh, that was
my favorite part.
Yeah.
Just to hear, Hayden Christensen's voice, and then to hear James Earl, and one of those favorite lines was, "You didn't kill Anakin,"
Uh-huh.
Oh, I think they did it so well. And you just, there were touches of things you saw from the way, because Clay and I went back and watched the battle scene in Revenge of the Sith, them being back to back. They did that. I mean, there were so many really, really cool things. And then I think when Luke says, "Then my father's truly dead," and of course Obi-Wan said, "My friend is truly dead." I mean, it was the same. There was, I kept thinking, okay, they're not going to do this justice. There's going to be things that they should have done, but I think they hit all the marks for me anyway. It did not disappoint.
Well, you knew you were in for a good show, if you will, and to kind of go to your point. Right as it starts, and he says, "Obi-Wan, did you come here to kill me?" And he says, from Revenge of the Sith, "I will do what I must."
Yeah.
And the same line he started with.
Yeah.
And that battle started. So
I kind of thought Vader might say, "Now I've got the high ground," but he didn't.
Oh, I thought for sure he'd say that. I thought that would be too obvious.
But then he threw the high ground down on top of him, so Obi-Wan got away.
Dude, when he puts his hand down on the ground, cracks that up. I was like, "Oh, what the world?"
Yeah, I love seeing, some of the things you've seen from the video games and it was so. I just thought it was fantastic.
Yeah, it was definitely special. What about anybody else? Any other thoughts? We'll work through it. Just kind of, you're good. You said
It was good.
it was good. All right. What was your favorite part of the whole battle? Was there a certain part, or you said, "Man, it was all great"?
I don't remember.
Okay, that's good. That's fair. What about you? Anything in particular sound? Was it any good to you, or just like, could you fall asleep during it?
Just too short for that.
Yeah. Best duel. Okay, so you would say that's one of your favorite scenes in Star Wars as well?
Oh, yes.
Okay. All right. What about Ed? You hear these young guys. What about? I mean, I know you kind of alluded to some stuff earlier.
Yeah, I thought the Vader Kenobi fight couldn't have been done any better. That was the highlight of the whole series, of course. I like that Baru and Owen got some stuff to do. They got to get in on the action this time, which is good. It might have been good to have them like double team Reva and take her down themselves or something.
Yeah,
I like them getting to do some stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you had a whole stormtrooper garrison, I guess, that took them out in A New Hope. That's what it took to take out those two guys, or Baru and Owen. One single Inquisitor couldn't get the job done. So, but yeah. What about Eddie? Anything you got to add, man? I know I don't see you, but I don't want to skip over you either.
No, it was good. It was actually one of the best episodes of the series.
Yeah. Yeah.
The only thing, if anything, maybe try to link it to the original series, or was when the line gets thrown around with, like, "When I left you, I was to learn around the master."
Yeah.
I wanted something for them to reference it to, like, okay, when he's cut up with the helmet, he says, "You have much to learn." So whenever they do meet again, he could say that line.
Yeah, I agree. That would have been a better bridge between A New Hope and that. Yeah, that is one of the things that is kind of left out. Because after I got done, kind of like Bill, they went back and watched Revenge of the Sith, which I did a little bit of that, and A New Hope as well, kind of to bridge it and piece it together. But that is one quote that they did leave kind of undone, if you will, or didn't foreshadow to. Thinking of some of the things that were said in that duel, and I know some of you guys have already mentioned them. I think the whole like Anakin's gone, I am what remains. As they've talked about that as Obi-Wan's trying to make that plea to him. After he slashes his mask, which I know a lot of people put a lot into that. Obi-Wan slashes the right or the left side of his mask, and then in Rebels, Ahsoka does the right side, and then Luke takes the whole helmet. Whatever that all means, but he has that interaction, and Obi-Wan's apologize. I'm sorry for all of it, and Anakin says, "You didn't kill Anakin Skywalker. I did." Why do you think he says that? I mean, is he saying that just so,
Leanne said she doesn't know.
She doesn't know. Leanne, I think a lot of people may be on that page. I don't know. Is it a way of him of just kind of showing how split Anakin is between these two raging forces that are in him, the old Anakin and now this Vader persona? Or is it Anakin actually showing some mercy to his old master?
That's what I thought too. I thought when he saw Obi-Wan's emotion, my first thought was, well, there's still good in him, and I think, but then you think about what after Obi-Wan says, "Then my friend is truly dead." That makes the line in A New Hope when he says, he's not man anymore; he's more machine, twisted,
more machine.
And so.
Yeah, I know. It's one of those you just
it's one of those conundrums. You're just thinking, it works this way, but it doesn't work that way.
Because when he said it, it was haunting. It was.
It was.
This dude is wicked. Because he even had that little smile.
Yeah,
and I was like, oh, dude, that's wicked. But then you think, but why say that? Why would he say that? I mean, because before, in their interactions in this episode or in the series, he would say, "I am what you made me." Throwing it on Obi-Wan. But at this point, he says, "You didn't kill Anakin Skywalker, I did." So maybe, again, kind of a differentiating Anakin and Vader. Well, here's another question. I told Joshua this a little earlier. As you think about the fullness of the prequels, you think about the Clone Wars, you think about the series, at what point does Anakin become Vader, though? What'd you say?
When he killed down Count Dooku.
You think he became Vader when he killed Count Dooku? Huh?
That's when he got mad, I guess.
You think that's when you say he became Vader, or he started the road there?
Road.
The road there. Okay. All right.
I think he got a taste of the power of the Sith there for sure. Yeah. I agree with that.
Yeah, which I know a lot of people point back, obviously, to Attack of the Clones with the Tuskens.
Yeah.
There.
I rewatched that recently, and it's really strange that Padme gets told that story and she's okay with it.
She's like, "Oh, it's okay. It's all about your mama. It's all right." Yeah, it is interesting how she is okay with it, but other people he tells like, "Ooh, slaughter a whole village." Okay. What do you think, Joshua? When do you think he becomes Vader? You've had some time to think about it.
I think he got mad when the Jedi Council said he wasn't a master.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he knew he could get more from the dark side.
Okay.
And that angered him.
Okay. So you're saying, so when he was denied master status, because we know that upset him, obviously, because we recently watched some Revenge of the Sith. And then obviously the whole need to save Padme with his visions, and then Palpatine was the only one that could help him. Okay. All right.
It could have been an Attack of the Clones when he's talking to Padme, and he says, "I'm really ahead of Obi-Wan in a lot of ways."
Right. Yeah.
You began to see that. One of the other things that there's just been this unquenchable pursuit of Obi-Wan. Why don't we see that in New Hope? And I thought they did such a good job with the scene with the Emperor.
Yeah.
Because the Emperor basically says, "Well, if you can't get over this that's happened in the past, maybe you're not all I thought you were." And it just like I thought it probably didn't squelch it in him, but he sure quits chasing it.
Yeah, because he says, "Man, Kenobi means nothing."
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you hear the Imperial March. for the first
Yeah.
time in the whole
I know
series.
that was. I thought that was a great scene too.
Yeah. There's a lot of great things that they pulled off in this. Kind of going back to that. When does Anakin become Vader? Of course, I think of when he actually gives him the title. Of course, when he murders the younglings. I mean, that's how do you come back from that? In that sense. But there's still that tension that exists within him. I know the comics have done a good job of that. I know there's a series of the Vader line where it's what if, kind of a what if series, like what if he had done this instead or this instead, and all these different things, and it just again magnifying that tension. But you definitely see that here, and after he has that, it's clear that Obi-Wan's beat him. Why does Obi-Wan let him live? I mean, you think it's because at this point Obi-Wan's full back as a Jedi? He's going to show mercy. He's going to show peace. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I was like, you got him, dude.
Man, when he was beating him with the hilt.
Oh yeah.
That was just brutal. I thought, man, Obi-Wan is full on just slapping him.
Takes those rocks, like you said.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was.
But yeah, when he busted up his control panel, then sliced his helmet, and I was just like, oh, you're beat. But yet he wants to keep going. He's yelling out at him,
Yeah.
It's not quite the TikTok craze as Kenobi, but he's yelling out Obi-Wan in that distorted voice.
Yeah.
Guys, the TikTok Kenobi guys over here beside me.
What's TikTok?
What is TikTok? My watch is right here. But it's almost as if he wanted Obi-Wan to come back and finish the job. Yeah. So then maybe that goes back to that statement. You didn't kill Anakin Skywalker, I did. Maybe he was wanting Obi-Wan to finish him off.
Yeah.
Maybe it was a cry for mercy in that regard, a cry for the help to end it. And maybe Obi-Wan didn't because he realized, no, I'm not going to give you that satisfaction. I don't know. A lot of questions. Let's see. There's something else I wanted to hit on kind of before we get to the end. Well, as we kind of think about A New Hope, it's because that's when they see each other again. Because I went and watched it again, and Vader's first comment to Obi-Wan is, "I've been waiting for you." It's almost like, okay, I turned my pursuit off as we saw with the encounter with Palpatine, and now I've been waiting for you. I knew you were out there, and I knew this day would come. And then we have that statement that Eddie helped us remember. When I left you, I was learned, but now I'm the master. And then, of course, and you guys know this, we have that interaction, all this stuff that we saw in the series. But then when Obi-Wan dies there in A New Hope, he disappears. But what does he smiles right before he does it, because he looks and he sees Luke and he sees Leia together. He sees the twins together, and he knows, okay, there's hope. Smiles, gives us.
That's the first time he's seen them together since they were born.
Yeah, first time, and he knows, okay, it's on the right trajectory now.
Yeah.
So that was cool. All right, so Vader's left there to whatever, all by himself. He makes his way back, and then we kind of have the wrapping up, if you will. We get a flash to Alderaan where Leia is. Of course, she gets a visit from Obi-Wan and gets Lola back. And are any of you guys buying a Lola? Electronic Lola? No. Passing on the Lola. Okay, well, so much for that. I'm going to get me a holster and put Lola in it like Leia did, but no. Walk around town like that.
Did you know? I didn't know until the series that Carrie Fisher had a bird named Lola.
I saw that the other day.
I saw that. I thought that was cool too.
Yeah, just kind of a nod again to her and her impact. It was neat too when, let's see if I can find it while I'm thinking about it. To see Obi-Wan kind of return to glory. He looks like he took a shower, his robes are a little brighter. And let's see, sorry, I should have done this ahead of time. But it really reminded me of something very special. I'm going to see if I can pull it up real quick. I think this is it. Sorry. Yes, here it is. So I'm going to pull this up. Let's see if I can pause it before it happens. I've got a commercial to work through here. Come on, commercial. With display in the background. But when I saw him and I saw him walking around, I couldn't help but think of John Travolta at the end of well, let me make sure I'm getting the right one here. Yeah, here we go. Sorry. This is such a better idea in my head. You know how that stuff goes. John Travolta at the end of Staying Alive. Not Saturday Night Fever, but Staying Alive. You know, the sequel, supposedly, where he's like this dancer and all this stuff on Broadway and everything. And as Obi-Wan, you know, he's walking around. He goes to the Lars homestead. He looks like he's got his stuff back. He's got his mojo back and everything. So I couldn't help but think of this. So for your enjoyment, here we go. This is where it took me.
I want to do. You know what I want to do? Strut.
Here it goes. This is what Obi-Wan was doing. Across the sands of Tatooine. He had his little goggles, his bright Obi-Wan robes, his Jedi, and he's just strutting. I'm back. He's got his lightsaber on his side. That's what I was thinking. I know that shows how messed up my head is. These boys beside me are like, Dad, this is crazy. This is crazy. The final strut. Yeah, hey, buddy. You got to live the dream, buddy. All right, I guess enough of that. You know what I want to do? I want to strut. So he struts his way to the Lars homestead, has that interaction with Owen, and then he gets to meet Luke, man. What did you think about that?
Hello there.
Oh, yeah. You were waiting for it the whole series, weren't you?
Yeah, I knew that was going to happen.
You knew it was going to happen, and that was the perfect – because they could have overplayed that in different places. That one scene where on the mining thing and Leia says, Dad, say hi or whatever, you know, when they're playing that role. He could have done it then, but he didn't. But he saved it for Luke and gives him, obviously, the Skyhopper, which that was really cool.
It was
kind of a neat.
Yes.
You know, there's so many things in this series I feel like they did right. Now, there's some things to kind of say, I don't know, why did they do this or that? But there's a lot of things they did right, and it hit me in the feels with some of those things. And then he leaves and heads across the Tatooine Sea, and there he is.
Liam Neeson is a liar.
Yes, he is a liar. I don't know. Oh, yeah, don't you know?
He said, I've got a special set of skills.
His special set is I've been rescuing my family over and over again, but now I'm back. He needs, man, his skills are tarnished. He keeps having to rescue his family in all these movies. But yes, he's back. Good to see Qui-Gon Jinn back at it. So what does he say? Well, it took you long enough. So
yeah, I've been here all along.
Yeah, I've been here all along. Essentially, he says that, and you just weren't ready to see. So, and I listened to Rebel Force Radio usually every week, and they do a great job of after shows and stuff, and kind of work through this. They do. And they did a good discussion about this, and I kind of want to get y'all's feedback when it comes to Force ghosts. You know, why did it take so long for him to see Qui-Gon? You know, does it obviously have to do something with the receiver of the Force ghost, you know, the person that's interacting with it? And does it also have to do something with the person that is projecting themselves as a Force ghost? Because if I'm not mistaken, at the end of the Revenge of the Sith, doesn't Yoda say something to Obi-Wan, I have more training for you to do while you're in isolation?
Yeah.
To connect with Qui-Gon, and here it is 10 years later, he still had no luck. So is it a dual type deal where you've got to be ready to hear from the Force ghost, and the individual has to be able to project themselves as a Force ghost? So that being said, you know, we get to Return of the Jedi after everything's said and done, and Luke looks over, he sees Obi-Wan, he sees Yoda, he sees Anakin, which, you know, people say, how did that happen? Well, that may be more on the receiver as opposed to the manifester. But then again, he's a chosen one. Then I have a problem too. And I'm sorry, I'm just kind of thinking out loud. Maybe you guys obviously feel free to chime in. Is it The Last Jedi where Luke is, defunct, whatever? He's going to burn down the Jedi tree thing with the books or whatever. But then Yoda shows up to him.
Yeah.
So, but he's not really open to the Force at that point. He's kind of closed himself off.
Yeah.
Yes. I don't know. One of those deals where I'm just kind of scratching my head about it. But either way, it was great to see Liam Neeson back, I guess.
Ooh.
What do you guys think about the whole Force Ghost thing? Were y'all excited to see that? Or it was kind of like, you knew it was going to happen? You're just waiting for it to happen, huh?
Yeah, you knew Hello There's going to happen.
You knew Hello There's going to happen, and you knew the Force Ghost was going to show up, huh?
Usually every single thing has Force Ghosts of Mandalorian.
Okay. His theory, everything's got Force Ghosts of the Mandalorian. Okay. And Boba Fett. Okay, well, I don't know. Okay. Then he makes that comment, we've got a ways to go. So that's, of course, distance-wise, but then that may set up, hey, there could be a season 2. Which I know at Celebration, Ewan said something about that. There could be a part 7, 8, 9, 10 or whatever. So,
man, I think I would love to see it, but I think I'm okay with it if they don't do it.
I'm with you. I mean, I'd love to have more of them, but I'm perfectly fine where they've left.
Let's explore something else.
Yeah. If they chose to explore though, season 2. Where would you like for them to go, or where do you think they would go? Obviously, we'd get more Qui-Gon interactions. Obviously, but the whole series can't be just about that.
I want to see.
What?
I want to see Captain Rex.
You want to see Captain Rex?
That'd be cool if you could.
Okay, so let's think about where is Captain Rex at this point. Let's see how well you're at.
I don't know where the planet is.
Where's the next time you see Captain Rex? So if
Solomon. What is it? Where the Ewok?
Ahsoka.
Well, remember this is before New Hope.
Oh yeah.
Ahsoka
So you Solomon, Ahsoka, you Solomon.
Final season.
The final season of
Rebels.
of Rebels, which is after.
But he's an old man there.
Yeah. So this is somewhere between the end of Clone Wars, where he and Ahsoka go off. He's removed his chip. He's had some interactions with Bad Batch, because we saw that in season 1.
Yeah.
Then the next time you see him is in Rebels.
They're on that walker, aren't they? On that sand planet.
Gregor and Wolf, right? Is that right?
Yeah, I think so.
So I don't know. I don't know how realistic that could. I mean, because they probably look like they've kind of been in exile doing their own crazy thing for some time. Because Rebels is 5 years before A New Hope.
So I think so.
4 or 5 years after this, then.
The thing, what would they do? I don't think anything they could do would top what they've done.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah.
Because if you keep having interactions with Obi-Wan and Vader, it would have to be
right
more about Leia because, Luke at the beginning of A New Hope, I'm just a farmer and I want to get away from here and yada, so there's not really much there. I really hope they don't, because I don't think it will be at the level that these 6 episodes have been.
What do you think, Ed? Where do you think it could head, or where would you like them head, or you just say leave it alone, don't touch it?
I think it's probably a good place to stop. I don't think you would get a good transition as you got now. Like the audiobook they did on Kenobi 5 years ago that was like a straight Western. That was great, but you can't, when you're doing The Mandalorian as a Western, you can't do a Kenobi Western too.
That's true. That was a good book. Was it John Jackson?
Yeah.
Maybe it's time to shift to one of the other characters.
Yeah. Well, while you guys are talking, this guy on this side whispered Maul. Now, let's think about where Maul is at this point.
He
into Clone Wars.
Probably
he was
in Rebels.
He was later in Rebels, and that's when he finds Kenobi there. But that was like he had no clue where he was.
Yeah.
Uh,
Ezra knew where he was, and
Yeah.
so Maul tricked him into that.
Yeah. Ezra doesn't know
but that
about-
does that eliminate though? Because there was, whole words that when they first were coming up with the scripts for Kenobi, that Maul was the main bad guy, but then
Yeah.
they scrapped that and went with Vader, which I'm glad they
And
did.
he tried the same thing that he did to Qui-Gon.
Yeah. He's always had this vendetta against Obi-Wan, so I mean, who knows?
Well, didn't
They
I
don't, but they might. So
didn't I hear something that they've cast somebody for Ezra Bridger in the Ahsoka series?
yeah. I didn't see it, and I know some of you guys may have. Sith God fellas, good fellas. I didn't see the trailer for the Ahsoka series, but they said there's a scene in it where it opens up. It's obvious that Hera's there. It's obvious that Chopper's there. Sabine's there. They're looking obviously for Ezra, so I'm sure they've cast him. I don't know about Zeb. Obviously, Kanan's not around, but so yeah, he's dead. But spoiler. But
Kanan could have. He could have survived.
Ahsoka is going to be
Lived basically
like in a
2 lives.
Mandalorian timeline.
Ahsoka basically. lived
That's
2
my
lives.
understanding, I guess.
Ahsoka basically lived 2 lives.
Yeah, well, if you think about the world between worlds, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, let's not get into that. This kid's going above my head over here. So, all right. So, what we got here? Let's see. Got some comments flying around over here. There's something else. I think that's pretty much it. So, when we think about what's coming next, Star Wars one's got Andor. The end of August 31st. Bad Batch 2, September 28th. Tales of the Jedi, sometime in the fall. That's the animated, which they're going to kind of look more into Ahsoka's origin story and some of that. Mando season 3, February of 2023.
Long time.
As far as just geek content on Disney Plus, She-Hulk starts August 17th. Yeah, that'll be something we can talk about in the cantina. Now, any of you watching Miss Marvel? Any?
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, it's more of a kind of a teen kind of deal.
It's not that good.
It does give a glimpse, and the boy says it's not very good. It does give a cultural glimpse into her Islamic background and stuff, which is interesting, as well as it's kind of her power source, which they're still kind of working through. I think they're on. This week will be maybe episode 4.
Yeah, episode 4.
So, well, gentlemen, I think we had a good time just kind of running through there. I appreciate you guys letting these special guests hang out with us. So, and boys, so you may know, Bill down there was my youth minister growing up. So that's right. Yeah, and
I was in that picture of your wedding. You could. Leanne said, "You're right back there. You can't see you."
Yeah. So yesterday, my wife and I celebrated our 25th wedding anniversary, and Bill officiated. He was the minister that officiated there. So, what's that? I said 24th. You said 25th. Oh, well, I meant 24th. We're working on the 25th year now. So, well, guys, anything other parting shots or thoughts about what's to come, or questions about what's happening in the canteen as we kind of wrap up things tonight? So, everybody good?
Everybody's good, man. Going to St. Louis next weekend.
Oh, to see the birds, huh?
Yep.
We're going Monday. They're in town here in Atlanta, so we're going Monday, July 4th to see them. So
They're playing the Phillies.
oh,
I'm taking the high school kids.
they'll enjoy that. Hopefully, they get some W's. They were
Maybe
moving
so.
down here earlier, so
Yeah.
tomorrow. Well, guys, thanks for joining us in the canteen tonight. It was fun hanging out and talking Star Wars, talking Obi-Wan. Good luck on your hunt. Maybe you guys will find something. So I hear our new dog whining upstairs. That means I got to go upstairs and help the bride.
There you go. Thanks, man.
All right, I appreciate you guys. Have a great rest of the week. Take care.